This is the Cash Flow Digest. My name is Matt Faircloth, and me and the DeRosa team are here for you guys on a weekly basis, video and broadcast recording. This is also live on our Facebook group, DeRosa Insiders. In whatever medium you're watching, please take a minute and like this content. We're going to be talking about all things real estate and all things cash flow because our company is dedicated to transforming lives through real estate, and cash flow can do that. We're going to be talking about things that are affecting the real estate industry, news in the real estate investing world. We're also going to be bringing on guests that are crushing it in the cash flow sector of real estate investing. If you guys want to join and watch the show live, please go to Facebook and look up DeRosa Insiders and join that Facebook group where we record this show every Friday at noon Eastern. Hope to see you guys there. What is going on? This is Matt Faircloth here coming in at you guys for the Cash Flow Digest. I'm super grateful for you guys and parts of our community. I've got a phenomenal guest coming at you guys today and we're going to talk about some other great stuff and ways that real estate investors like you and me can take advantage of the changing real estate market. So let us hop in. So again, this is Matt Faircloth. Today's topic I want to talk to you guys about. There is a change and home builders are posting not record, but higher profits than what we thought they were going to, right? And that's one of those interesting things where it's like, all right, well, home builders are more profitable. Maybe that means that there's more money being made in home building, and there is. But what folks may tend to get confused about. If you guys are watching the recording, go to Facebook to DeRosa Insiders and check out the article I'm posting here. This article alludes that it's true, there's a 20% bump in home builder production over the last couple of months. Interesting, right? And that's interesting. And some folks would say, wait a minute, Matt, 20%, that means saturation. That means there's lots of home building, going to be lots of homes for sale. I mean, these are housing starts, building permits, those kinds of things that are being pulled over the last couple of months. 20%, a 20% bump. That is interesting, right? Now, I can tell you why some folks may read that the wrong way. 20% is a big number, but what I also want to point out, another article that I want you guys to check out here. Yet again, go to our Facebook feed and grab this one. This is from my good friend Dave Meyer, the Data Deli. If you look at the chart here, the spike that we're seeing, right, is a blip on the map as compared to what home building was when America was at its peak of home building, right? So yes, it's back up. It's peaked up a little bit, but it is nowhere near what it should be. It's nowhere near what it was. There is still an enormous housing shortage in America. The way that you as real estate investors can, of course, help solve that and be a part of the solution and make money in solving that is by buying defunct, dilapidated, vacant buildings and turning them into residential housing, aka B, C, D class value add. Buying properties, bring them up to today's standards. Maybe buying properties that aren't housing right now, such as retail strip centers or office buildings or strip malls, right? That is a way to take care of some of the glut of office space we have in America, is to turn it into housing, right? That's a conversation for another day. If you guys want to hop back into that, this is a minor blip, right? Now, a lot of the folks, we talked to a land developer that's producing around 20,000 parcels of land right now. And what a land developer does is something that our current guest is going to be talking to us about as well. A land developer takes a piece of land that is something else, a forest, a cow pasture, a parking lot, whatever it is, and turns it into something that could be an apartment building, a housing development, residential housing, a strip mall, a something else. But what a land developer does is they take land and they create possibility with that land. And then they monetize that possibility by selling it off to someone who wants to make that possibility a reality and build it up, right? So, as I said before, there are enormous land developers out there that are buying, 100 acres, 1,000 acres, and turning it into potential apartment buildings, the possibility of an apartment building, the possibility of a housing development. And they're selling it off to big fish like D.R. Horton, Toll Brothers. It's fine. I'm not saying y'all need to be those people, okay? Here's the way that investors that our size can take advantage of the changes that are happening in the housing market and the need for more residential housing to get built, right? You can do what our guest today does. Maybe I'm underselling this guy. Maybe he does do thousands of acres at a clip, right? But you don't have to do that. You could go find 5 acres, 10 acres, right? Smaller pieces of land and network in your trading area or in the market that you are focused on, right? And find yourself a small boutique developer that's looking for a piece of land, because they are. It's not just D.R. Horton and Toll Brothers that are buying land. The smaller developers of housing need land too. They need projects as well. So what I'm suggesting you guys, all of us, consider doing is looking at our target markets, right? Networking and connecting with local small builders that build, maybe a couple of dozen houses a year. Could be that small. And say, what is your specs? What are you looking for? Are you looking for high density? Meaning, like, do you want as many houses as you can get on a piece of land as possible? Or are you going to build luxury? Do you want multiple acres per house? Find out what their criteria are for the build box that they want to build, and then go out and find a piece of land that could meet that. Here's what you guys do. You guys are going to love this, because it's no money out of your own pocket. I'm going to get our guests to talk to you guys through it in details, but broad brush, put the land under contract. You take it through the approval process, through engineering, through architecture, through town approvals. And that 5-acre piece of land is now the possibility of a luxury housing development, right? And you go off to the local builder and say, hey, I have this land under contract. Would you like to buy it? And you might have the land under contract for, let's just say, $100,000 an acre. So that's $500,000 for a 5-acre piece of land. The developer may say, I love that, and I would pay you $300,000 per buildable lot that you could give me for luxury housing. That's a real number, and maybe they come in and they're willing to pay you $1.5 million for a piece of land that you're under contract for $500,000. This is big boy flipping, big boy and girl wholesaling and everything like that. And it's a lot more work, but the numbers can be astronomical that you can make on moving land to those that need it, to create that want to take possibility and turn it into reality. So there is a quick tip of the day, guys. For those of you guys that are seeing the changes in housing development, the need that America has for more housing, how can we, as small and mid-sized landlords and developers, take advantage and play a part of that? Because remember, guys, you cannot change the market. Write that down, guys. You cannot change the market, but you can sure hope to participate in it and be a part of where the market's going. So there's more housing coming out of the ground. Check these 2 articles. They both say that there is, right? There's a lot more housing that's needed in America. So be a part of the creation of that by going and finding small parcels of land and moving them off to bigger developers that are going to turn that potential that you create into reality. And you don't have to actually build the house. You just got to create the possibility of a house and sell that possibility off to someone who's going to bring it to reality. And I'm going to go and bring in our guest. For those of you guys that have not heard about Jon, let's go ahead and bring him in. Jon Jasniak. Am I saying that right?
That's right, Matt. You got it.
Good. Jon, welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I can't wait to dig in. I want to get your thoughts on the land development conversations that I just had tonight. That's your jam, some things you do. Want to hear about how you bought this town in Texas and that. But before we even get into the show, why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself to our audience? Thank you for being here.
Sure. And thank you so much for having me. My name is Jon Jasniak. I buy and sell land. As you mentioned, that's what I do. A lot of subdividing nowadays. Started in late 2016, early 2017. So it's been over 6 years now. Grew an 8-figure business basically from scratch. As you mentioned, bought the small town of Cornudas in West Texas. Have done over 800 land deals now, I think it is, and thousands of acres. And, I like what you're talking about with the affordable housing and carving up land and all that stuff. And that's exactly what I do, basically. It's a growing market, and I don't see it stopping. It's been good to me, and it's simple. That's why I like it.
Do you agree with what I said, that we're just chipping at the iceberg? I guess that the amount of housing that America needs is just getting nibbled at, and the only way we're going to get there is through multi-pronged attacks by building on land, by reconverting things that aren't housing right now, such as office buildings, and also by rehabbing underutilized or defunct residential spaces. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think America is, let's be honest, America is basically a renter nation. And I think most people do not want to be renting. Most people want to own a place that's their home, that's their own. And I think the classic American dream has been, own a house, white picket fence, etc. But I think more so what I'm seeing is the American dream is actually owning a piece of land and being able to have freedom, build maybe do a mobile home, definitely have livestock, just have some space. And a lot of people moving outside of the cities as well, which creates a huge opportunity,
To do what
I
they
think.
want to do on the land, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, think about that. I mean, you could buy a plot of land, buy an acre of land. Like you said, you want to have some livestock, you want to have some space to stretch out a little bit or do whatever you want to do, and enjoy your
Mhm.
freedoms. And you could drop like a little tiny home on there. Because the problem we have, John, is not everybody in America can afford a $1.5 million, 10,000 square foot house at 7% interest these days. I've seen a statistic that most Americans can afford a house, and this is under prior interest rates, around 300 to 350,000 bucks is what
Yeah.
America's average strike price is on a home, right? How do we get there? How do we provide housing to people? I mean, maybe it's through models that you tried out or whatever. How do we get to a point where more people can have that American dream at a price point they can afford?
Well, what I'm seeing is a lot of mobile homes. A great alternative. They hold value pretty well, and they're cheap, they're affordable. You can obviously move them around. And
Yep.
you kind of mentioned working with developers and carving up land and all that stuff. What we actually do is we sell straight to Joe Schmo, Sally, the average person. Like, I
Hmm.
don't even really work with developers. The market is
Wow.
so huge. You can work with developers, obviously, but taking a piece of land outside of city limits and subdividing it, 30 to 60 minutes outside of a major city, and then just selling it to people in that city is just such a I mean, it blows my mind every time. It's a huge market. I mean, I just run Facebook ads and sell straight to the consumer, and
I
they
got
move
it.
out there,
That's
they do
great.
more.
Take me through the process. So you find a piece of land outside of a major city. And are you buying the land and closing on it, or are you putting it under contract and doing your entitlements?
Definitely do entitlements or any sort of due diligence, engineering, option research, whatever you want to call it, while it's under contract. For instance, I got one right now, it's 25 minutes south of Midland in Midland
Okay.
County, Texas, 150 acres.
Ooh.
We're under contract. This one's actually a pretty quick close because the dude it has a house on it, actually, like a big,
Oh,
beautiful
wow.
custom built home, and the dude wants to move out quick. So it's a 45-day close, which is pretty quick. I usually do 90 to 120 days.
Now, what are
So
you
we're under
buying
contract.
150 acres with a house on it
Mhm.
for outside of Odessa, Texas, just for the rest of the world to hear reality here? What is that?
Yeah.
What is that running you to buy that?
So this is southern Midland County. It's
Yeah.
150 acres, 1.1 million with
Okay.
the home. But anywhere in Texas like that, west central Texas, you're talking anywhere from 2,000 to probably 6, 7,000 per acre. So call it, 3, 4,000 per acre. If you're buying 100 acres, let's say at, call it 4,000 per acre, you're talking 400K.
So you're under contract for that, and he needs to get out. So you're gonna maybe
Hmm.
figure out financing, come in with equity, however you're gonna close on it. You're gonna close on it finance wise. Then once you own it, are you gonna keep the house and sell that off to somebody after you subdivide? What happens to the house first? Let's start with the easy fruit.
Yeah.
Easy fruit is the house. What do we do with
So
that?
we just got the house inspected. Everything is good. We're gonna create a 20-acre lot because it's kind of a weird because it's kind of off the road. It has some outbuildings, so we want to kind of include all that in one lot and one package for the home buyer. So it's going to be 20 acres with that house, and that leaves us 130 acres to play with, really. So I'm eyeballing probably 53-acre lots or 65 2-acre lots or so, and we're going to build. It's about a mile and a half of road, just dirt gravel road.
Mhm.
So it'll be the house on 120-acre, then call it 65 2-acre lots, ready to sell off to whoever wants to move outside the city in Midland,
Yeah.
Texas, which is a pretty big market.
You said it was like a nicer home, right? So are you gonna need to
Yes.
get in and do some upgrades to it and spruce it a little bit, or?
No, this sucker's ready to go. It's a beautiful
Wow.
custom built home.
Awesome.
Conservative value 600 grand, pretty aggressive high end value probably 750
Great. As is.
as is.
Okay. Let's go to the parcels, right? So now you got a bunch of parcels that are, between an acre to 2 acres a clip, right? 2 acres is sizable enough, but are we talking delineating lines, fencing, anything to, kind of separate ourselves from our neighbors, or or even like a hedgerow or anything like that?
Yeah.
How's the land
Well,
cut up?
well, here's what I want you and your listeners to keep in mind, and what
Bring
I
it.
kind of preach and do is when I do something like this, I want to do as little as possible and just deliver it to my customers as is, raw land. So it's going to be surveyed off. There'll be stakes in the ground. There'll be a plat map created. There'll be, stakes, lot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of labeled off. But other than that, that's it. I don't do wells. I don't do fencing. I don't do anything really. We'll build the roads because we have to, because the county regs, when you're subdividing, county regs are super important.
So
You have
you're
to
not
play by the
dropping in
rules.
the well, the septic. You're not
No,
putting any of that in.
I don't know. That's all
Okay.
up to them. And I've never had a problem with it. A 2-acre lot will go for 40 or 50 grand. So we're looking at, call it conservatively, 20 grand per acre. I'll owner finance a lot of them. So, all said and done, we're with improvements and everything, we're probably into the deal. It's 1.1 purchase, probably 400,000 in roads, surveying, etc. 1.5 million into it, and then all said and done, sales price 3 million, very conservative. I think it could go as high as 4 million gross sales. So we'll at least double our money on it, and I think if we're good marketing and it goes off how I think, probably 4 to 6 months, but conservatively a year to sell them all.
Guys, if you want to be Jon Jasniak when you grow up, please hit the like button right now. That's awesome what you're doing. But I got more questions.
Let's do it.
Where we are assuming that these folks that are buying these plots of land, and again, you're just seller financing at 40 grand. Got it. Are they typically dropping a mobile home like straight up like a RV on the land? Or is it a more permanent structure that you see?
A lot of non-permanent structures, mobile homes. Mobile homes is probably 80% of it. Some folks, you might have a couple of RVs out there, something like that. And then a few folks will probably do like barn dominiums or even site-built homes. But 80% of it's going to be mobile homes.
A what
Probably
dominium?
a barn dominium, like a
What's that?
barn.
Oh,
It's
like
pretty
a
popular
barn that
nowadays.
just shows
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
but it's like a modular manufactured barn that just kind of shows up in the back of a truck kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about?
No, a lot of these suckers are actually like site built.
Huh.
Pretty popular nowadays. It's like it almost looks like a warehouse, right? But it's like uh also residential, and it's just a big open floor plan, open spaces. You can have a shop in there, you have a living area,
Oh, I
very
see.
affordable.
Like almost like a maker space for somebody that
Mhm.
wants to do some of their own handiwork, but also have housing, but also have a spot for a shop.
Yes, and because a huge deal with a lot of this outside of city limits is there's little to no restrictions, and people love
Hmm.
that. So they can go out there, they can do commercial, they can have a workshop, they can have livestock. I like little to no restrictions. Like people are sometimes obsessed with deed restrictions, housing restrictions, etc. So we'll do like no junkyards and no commercial shooting ranges. We might do like no chicken coops or something like to prevent like craziness for livestock. But other than that, I mean, it's basically no restrictions. People can go out there and do what they
No,
want.
I had a buddy. I had a buddy of mine. He lives in Pennsylvania, which is more regulated than Texas is, right? And so his HOA told him that he couldn't have chickens. That's kind of like part of their diet, and that's what they eat those eggs on a daily basis. But
Exactly.
anyway, why no chicken coop? Because I would see a lot of your home buyers if they want to start living on the land and growing some of their own food, maybe having some livestock for food for themselves too. Chickens are like a staple.
I actually learned this one from a student. He actually ended up putting in deed restrictions, no visible chicken coops. And what I've seen is some people can get real crazy with livestock. Like you're talking 100 dogs or 1,000 chickens or 50 pigs. And it's just real. It can be a nuisance to the
There's
neighbors.
always
And
that one
so,
guy that's got to push it to the limit. Like, I'm gonna start up a
exactly.
dog breeding thing, or I'm gonna go be like the cat lady and have like 75 cats running around. So it does have to do with your neighbor's quiet enjoyment, because you want to let
Yes.
people do what they want on their land, but there also is the next door neighbor's right to quiet enjoyment of their home. What does it cost to put well and septic on a typical piece of land like this? Why wouldn't you do that? Because my guess is you could make
Yeah.
a bump, right? So what does it cost to put well and septic in?
Well, there's a good reason why I don't do it. I'll talk about it here in a second. But the cost of the well and septic itself obviously depends on the depth of the well. It's usually
Oh, I see.
in Texas, $30 to $40 per foot turnkey for a well. So out here, it's about 250-foot well. So you're probably talking 10, 15 grand,
Okay.
including a pump, all in, ready to flow water, and a
Yeah.
septic. At least 10 grand, probably 10 to 20. So you're looking at, call it 10 grand well, 15 grand septic. So, probably an extra 25 grand to get that
25, 30
installed.
all in installed. Joe and Susie Homebuyer want to buy your land. will you finance their well and septic for them if they ask you to?
Absolutely not.
You won't front it. Okay.
No.
All right. Tell me why, my friend.
The main reason why I don't do well and septic for my customers is because it's an economic return game. I'm a big IRR yield guy. And so
Yeah.
I'm not a bank. I don't make money at 7 to 10, 12% interest, whatever. I drill a well for them. Two things really. I drill a well, put in a septic. One, it's an added 25,000, call it, of value, as we talked about. On the sale side, I don't really see that the buyers perceive that extra $25,000 worth of value. They're 2 acres of land, 50,000. Okay, cool. Well, now I put in 25,000 worth of improvements, and I try and sell for 75. They think that's too expensive. So they don't really perceive that extra value. And if they did, number two, I can't just charge them 75 grand. I need to charge them something way higher.
That's what I was saying, like 100 grand. Yeah, we need to get like 100 grand for the land that's, call it like, house ready, that, all you got to do is bring your house out and you are living,
Yep.
and
they're not,
that's the market.
They're not for it. And so when you really drill into the economics, you start forking in 25 G's for all this stuff to make
times 50,
to make my returns, my yield is going to be crap. I mean, it's not going to be there. So that's why I leave it up to them. I just do the land. On a project like this, got to be at least 100% IRR. All my subdivides are at least 100% yield.
This is interesting. All right, Jon, it's been phenomenal having you on the Cash Flow Digest show. Thank you for being with us today. Guys, that was a phenomenal conversation. It really goes back to the theme of the show, which is the market is changing, and the real estate investors that find a way to play into the changing market of real estate are the ones that are going to make a lot of money in the next 5 to 10 years. That's what happened over the last 10 years. Now, for nothing, multifamily became really, really exciting, and a lot of people bought C-class value add, B-class value add multifamily over the last 10 years. That's where a lot of money was made in real estate, and it'll continue to be a place that a lot of money gets made. But guess what, guys? We also need new housing. We need new places for people to live. They can still live in B and C class multifamily that gets resurfaced and revamped and everything like that. But people also need new stuff. So how can you guys, you listener, you listening right now, point at you, how can you play a role in the recreation of new and more housing for America? What's it going to look like, right? Remember, I'll say it one more time. I've said it like 10 times on this show, but I want you guys to really hear me. You cannot change the market. You can only hope to participate in it. So how can you participate in the changing market and the need for new housing in America that we have, right? Think about that, noodle it. Can't wait to see you guys in the next Cash Flow Digest show. If you guys have tips and tidbits you'd like for me to talk about here, I'm always here for you guys. Just post it on Facebook at DeRosa Insiders. Go to DeRosa Insiders on Facebook and join that community and leave some comments here. I would love to chat with you directly, or would love to answer some questions you guys may have. Just drop it in that community list. If you guys want to hear more about what we offer at DeRosa Group, the education services, the real estate investments that we offer, or anything that we offer, or new copy of the new revised copy of my book, whatever you guys would like, go to DeRosaGroup.com. That is DEROSA, DeRosaGroup.com, and you guys can check us out there. Until next time, guys, Friday, noon Eastern, every show is live here on this Facebook channel. Until next Friday at noon Eastern, we at the DeRosa team thank you guys for being here with us, and wanted to say have a great, awesome weekend. See you then. Hey guys, Matt Faircloth here. Thank you for listening again to the Cash Flow Digest. I really appreciate you guys doing that. If you guys want to hear more about what DeRosa Group has to offer, go to DeRosa Group, DEROSA Group.com, DeRosaGroup.com online. You can hear about all the great things that we offer from an educational standpoint and passive investment standpoint on our website. See you there. And if you guys want to join our online community, DeRosa Insiders on Facebook, where you can watch this program get recorded every Friday at noon Eastern, and you can come on as even a guest or ask questions on the show. We hope to see you guys on our online community, DeRosa Insiders. See you there.